Welcome. Your art is a spell, and it will change your life and the world around you. Have you ever made something that felt like it was more than just art, like it was alive, buzzing with energy, intention, maybe even magic? Hi everyone, welcome back to Your Art is a Spell. I'm your host, Edgar Fabián Frías, and today we're diving deep into the very question at the heart of this podcast. What exactly is an art spell? If you're here, chances are you already feel it. That art is more than just decoration or content, that it can shift energy, open portals, speak across time and space, and ultimately change the world around us. Maybe you felt that spark before when you've made something and something made you back. In this episode, I'm going to unpack what art spells are, how they work, and how you can start to recognize and cast them in your own practice. We'll talk about the care, intention, and power that fuels them. And yes, I'll even share a few stories where art spells came true in the most unexpected ways. You may or may not remember from episode 1 of this podcast season, but one of the first encounters with an art spell happened when I was young visiting LACMA. I didn't have the language for it at that time, but that sense of confusion and transformation, that was magic. Confusion and curiosity have always been powerful portals for me. They invite in transformation, they unsettle things to allow space for other possibilities. I think that that's where art spells begin, in that moment of not knowing, but feeling deeply. So here's my working definition of an art spell. An art spell is a creative act infused with intention, feeling, and care, crafted to shift energy, consciousness, or reality itself. Unlike traditional definitions of art that emphasize beauty or technical skills, an art spell prioritizes impact. It is a declaration. This is sacred. This is meant to do something. So what makes something an art spell and not just art? It's all about intentionality. When you make an artwork with a specific emotion, spiritual or social intention, when you're consciously working to channel energy, story, or healing into form, you're making an art spell. You don't need to believe in magic in the traditional sense. You don't need crystals or candles or even an altar. What you do need is a belief in your art and in yourself. That is the most essential ingredient of an art spell, because at the heart of every art spell is trust. Trust that your creative power matters, that your visions are valid, that you're in conversation with energies that go beyond the material realm, with guides and ancestors, future selves, even with the land itself. Spells are not just made, they are felt. They are collaborations with unseen forces. Before we go any deeper, if this is resonating with you so far, take a moment to give this episode some love by channeling some of your intention through a like, by subscribing to this podcast or to my YouTube channel, and drop a comment. Let me know what kind of art spells you've been casting, and let's build a space here where art witches can find each other, support each other, and help amplify each other's magic. The more we show up for one another, the more power we bring to what we're creating together. Let me share a story. A few years ago, my friend Eva Aguila invited me to do a residency at the Coaxial Arts Foundation in downtown Los Angeles. I collaborated with an amazing artist and witch named Gabriela Herstick on a flower spell for our queer, trans, kink, poly, and E&M communities. We created it as a sacred offering, not knowing where the spell spell was going to land. And just a few weeks later, without planning it, I ended up getting invited to share an artwork on top of the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco during Pride. And that's the thing about spells. You never really know where they're going to go. And I have to tell you that one of the most surreal and powerful things that's happened with my spells was that 4 of them were taken up to the moon. Yes, the literal actual moon. I go into the full story of how my art ended up on the moon in episode 1 of this podcast. And here's another spell story of mine. I used to share spells on Instagram, little pieces of writing born from pain, rage, transformation, and every single post began with the line, CN or content note, this post is a spell. This became one of my longest running series on my profile. People would comment or DM me saying, I needed your spell today. I feel seen. I feel shifted. These spells were not viral just for the sake of it. These were echoes, confirmations, proof that we are interconnected beyond the physical. Art becomes a spell that stirs the soul, not just of the individual, but of the collective. It moves us. It wakes something up in us. In a world obsessed with capitalism, productivity, and control, art spells are revolutionary. They remind us that power is not something you buy or something you earn. It's something that you remember. That creativity is not a luxury. It is a birthright, that your intuition, your sensitivity, your weirdness, your rage, your grief, your joy, all of them are holy. They're sacred. Art spells let us embody and imagine futures that don't exist yet. They connect us to ancestral memories. They whisper to us, you are not alone. You are needed. Your magic matters. They say, fuck the binary, fuck the market, fuck the lie that says art is only for the gifted or for the elite. Your expression is sacred, and your voice is a part of that sacred spell. Okay, so after talking about spells so much, now is your turn to learn how to cast a spell. Ready to cast your own art spell? Here's a simple prompt. Think of a feeling that's visiting you right now. It could be confusion, rage, longing, grief, hope. Now give yourself 10 minutes to make something in conversation with that feeling. Don't worry about perfection. Just be honest. Let the art feel the feeling with you. If you can't do that right now for whatever reason, I want to invite you to open up your calendar and schedule an hour to do this later in the week. That's a spell too, because every time you claim time for your creativity, you're reclaiming a piece of your power. And don't forget, spells take time. Some echo years later, some spark immediate change. Some need to germinate in the darkness, and that's all a part of the magic. So what's the spell that I'm casting? I'm imagining a world that is queerer, browner, more connected to the earth and to each other. A world where art is a portal and not a product, where we feed the soul before we feed the algorithm. What spell are you casting with your art? And what if it came true tomorrow? Let your art be a living prayer. Let it echo in places you've never been, in timelines you've never touched. And remember, even your quietest creations might be shaping the world in ways you can't yet imagine. And this is something that I feel is really important to talk about with art spells, is they help us tune into our inner fire, our inner creativity, our inner eroticism, our inner rage. They help us feel potentiality in moments that might feel hopeless or helpless. This is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is that we are living in a time when many people, especially those of us that are not cis straight white men are feeling disempowered or are being told that we are not powerful, that we have limitations on us. And I want to remind you that your art is a portal to invite you into a process where you get to reclaim your sense of agency, your sense of power, your sense of impact, and for you to know that you are not stuck within this decaying, corrosive system. You are a part of a massive change that is underway on this planet. That is one of the reasons I feel so much hope in this world today is I know that I am a part of a web of witches that are transforming this planet. We are the doulas that are here to witness the death of this decaying patriarchal capitalist system. And we are the doulas that are here to welcome in a remembering of the magic that exists on this planet. Now, I want to invite you, if you have a friend that could use these words of affirmation, this way of rethinking your art practice, I want to invite you to share this episode with them because we need more of us highly sensitive, creative weirdos to step into our power. We are needed more than ever. If you've also found this episode useful, I want to invite you to subscribe to this podcast, to sign up for my newsletter. You can find that by going to yourartisaspell.com. If you want to send me a voice note, you can send me one by going to speakpipe.com/yourartisaspell. In the meantime, I want to invite you to take care of yourself and each other, and to not forget that your art is a spell and it will change your life and the world around us. Bye!